Television's successful Mr. Wizard experiment. Hello and welcome back to our channel Everlasting Luxury. Hope you're all doing great, so here we are back with another video we're going to discuss about television's successful Mr. Wizard experiment. But before starting with today's video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for further notifications. So let's begin without further ado. Boiling water with ice cubes, Mr. Wizard introduces science to the American living rooms in the 1950s. Half a century later, Don Herbert's iconic show still evokes innovation amongst the young. Television had its fair share of iconic personalities who steered the public discourse of their age. Through their charisma, they broke stereotypes with ease, impressing audiences across age groups, and transformed the concept of entertainment in their times. In the 1960s, the acerbic comedians renovated late-night comedy shows. The 1970s brought excellent sci-fi series that churned the human's imagination. However, long before all that in the 1950s, one guy changed the way people looked at television. He made the audience get up and do things. In 1951, Mr. Wizard aired for the first time on NBC and brought science to the American living rooms. Played by Don Herbert, Mr. Wizard transcended age groups by mixing science with the spectacle so brilliantly that the audience was hooked for the next 25 years. The legend that was Mr. Wizard, guy behind the weekly spectacle. Don Herbert, born in Minnesota in 1917, was interested in science during his Boy Scout days. He pursued a career in drama and theater in New York City. In 1942, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, completing a distinguishing career as a B-24 bomber pilot. As Mr. Wizard, Donald Jeffrey Herbert hosted 3 seasons. The first show, named Watch Mr. Wizard, aired between 1951 and 1965. The second was titled Mr. Wizard Went On 2 from 1971 to 72. The last season was called Mr. Wizard's World and intrigued the audience from 1983 to 1990. The decades-long series cemented Mr. Wizard's place in American history. In the early 1950s, the show was the out-of-the-world experience for generations of Americans looking to rebuild their life after World War II. Countries in the post-war globally society were racing ahead of each other to explore science like never before. Just 6 years ago in 1945, the world saw the devastating power of the atom bomb, and societies recognized the immense potential of science. Both the Soviet Union and the United States were neck-deep in the space race. When the USSR pulled the first ever satellite, Sputnik, into orbit into space, it hurt the American psyche. Young Americans were rearing to pursue science as a means to beat Soviets, so the stage was already set to accept science in a long way. And Mr. Wizard was just a perfect show for the 1950s. Herbert's show helped spark a new zeal amongst the young to explore the unknown frontiers. Mr. Wizard used relatively new TV medium to introduce young Americans to science in an entertaining way. The introduction of science to American living rooms. Mr. Wizard was such a cult series that Don Herbert featured in the premiere of David Letterman's show in February of 1982. Here he used soda water to inflate a baby bottle nipple, and the subsequent roar of the audience confirmed his legendary status of David Letterman. Straightforward, demonstrative, and magical. The show's theme was ingrained into the 1950 kids' minds. The weekly half-hour show, broadcasted from garage-like studios, was aimed at children, but Herbert's audience was far more diverse. Besides kids, he had a generation of parents amongst his fan base who were astonished by his scientific knowledge and simplicity of presentation. His fan mail stories are legend unto themselves. Once a woman wrote, "If I don't write this, I'll explode," and then continued on to her fan mail content. The charisma of the show began when the episode ended every week. That's when children across the country would try to recreate the same experiment with their parents. The hands-on experience strengthened the learning and gave the families much needed family time on the weekends. No wonder the show built a huge fan base, including many dedicated fan clubs in the small and big towns alike. Interestingly, Herbert never talked directly to the audience, but indulged in a conversation with a young assistant explaining the scientific concepts via practical experiments. Within a few weeks, the show captured the youth's imagination, gluing them to the TV screens as Herbert carried on complex experiments with a calm demeanor. Herbert's scientific acumen was the key to demonstrating concepts lucidly. Of course, there were inputs from academics and professors, but the entire execution, explanation, and experiments were Herbert's role. Herbert was indeed a man on a mission. Each episode was planned meticulously by Herbert himself, who made sure that scientific concepts were simplified to children's IQ level, and it worked, every week like clockwork. Mr. Wizard, a milestone in American history and culture. The first show of Watch Mr. Wizard intrigued the audience with enigmatic yet straightforward science experiments. Kids and adults would chuckle alike, looking at everyday household items to conduct engaging scientific activities. In his little antics, he gave American households a glimpse of the potential of science, bust the old age myths, and introduced a generation of Americans to the scientific way of thinking. The National Museum of American History contains detailed documents showcasing Herbert's contribution as a science educator. Approximately 500 files from the Watch Mr. Wizard show contain detailed documentation about each episode's content, described telecast planning it took host of the half-hour spectacle. The documents gave insight in the greatest shows dedicated to science and American TV's history. from lengthy scripts to graphs, diagrams, and practical experiment equipment, the Mr. Wizard shows remains a noteworthy milestone in American culture and society. Here we come to the end of this video. Let us know in the comment box what you would like about Mr. Wizard the most. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also watch the next two videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. And with that, we'll see you all in our next video. Thanks for watching.